Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games, back with another cool video for you today. This is a repair video we've been wanting to do for a little bit. This is the gantry out of or the trolley, they call it different things, out of a old Drew's Paw crane machine. So this is from like the mid-80s. So this is the claw. I was going to show you how to fix these electric motors. So basically on this one, whenever you turn it on, nothing happens. So you can't, the board's working because the little LED comes up and everything, but you can't get anything to move. So if these have been sitting a long time, you've got problems with the motors probably. So you can either have a motor that's burnt up, or you can have a motor that's just dirty and needs to be cleaned. So I'm going to show you how to clean them. So basically all of these are electric motors. And one of them, which is this one, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, this one, this is the back of it, of course. This is the motor that raises and lowers the claw. And you can see that the claw is completely extended. It was laying in the bottom of the cabinet like that because the motor would not pull it back up. And then you've got this one, which turns a wheel on the other side, which makes this wheel move, which moves the trolley back and forth. So this is the one that makes it move back and forth. I missed it. And then you've got this one, which turns a wheel over here on the side, which makes it move along the tracks inside the machine. So it makes it move forward to back. So these are just little electric motors, and then there's a little gearbox on the bottom of them. So the way you test these things out is you unplug the wires. If they will unplug. On some of them they might not come off. So you could probably check it while it's still plugged in, and then you use a multimeter to check the resistance. I forgot to grab the multimeter. Be right back. Okay, so got the multimeter set up. I've got it on ohms, so we're testing resistance. And this inside it has a big coil and brushes, so we're going to check the resistance between the two pins. So the resistance between the two brushes is several K, which means several thousand ohms. 6, 7, so it's 8,000 ohms. It's just not, you know, that's very high. So now we're at 480 ohms because I got it a little bit better. So it shouldn't be anywhere near that. It should be down below like 10 ohms. Again, I'm going to take it apart and show you how it works. The other thing you can get is if you test it and it's really low, it's below 2 ohms or so, then the motors burn up. It's shorted. And if you take it apart and look, you'll see it all burn up black where the thing's overheated. These are just electric motors like are in your ceiling fan and stuff like that. So the way you clean it, some of them you can do this, some of them you can't. This one's got like a little sticker here on the side. I'm going to just cut the sticker off so that it can come apart. Of course, it'd be easier to do this with something besides a blunt screwdriver, but it's just a little label. A razor blade or screwdriver or anything will cut that. And then as you can see, there's 2 screws in the top. Well, if that'll come all the way out. So you take them out, and then this top piece will come off, most of them. You can see how it's pulling the brushes off too. If you can get that to come loose, sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. I are a success. So we took the cap off. And then there's this little, these are the brushes. So we'll just take them off. So the way those work are, they just squeeze around these contacts here. And then you've got this, which is a couple magnets. So this is called the stator because it's stationary, it doesn't move, just magnets. And then this is called the rotor because it rotates. So the way these motors work is power comes in through these brushes. Right? So it sends voltage through. The brushes are connected on the other end. They are touching this rotor, which I don't know if I can get that out of there or not. No, it's stuck in the gearbox, so I'm not going to take that out, but perhaps I can zoom in. Disregard the Nintendo 64 games. Need some focus. There we go. Alright, so see these bands here? That's what the brush rides on. And so the brush connects to these little metal pieces, which are connected to these wires, the coil, right? And so it sends the different voltages for each one, but so on this one I think it sends 34 volts or something like that, 36 volts through it. And what it does is it turns this into a big electromagnet. So this is inside these magnets. There's something stuck to it so you can see. It's inside these magnets, and it makes it spin because it's repelled by the magnets, right? And then once it spins, the contacts come off of that contact and move on to the next one, the brushes. And once they're on the next one, it has reversed the polarity, so now it spins trying to get away from the other magnet. And so you end up with the thing spinning around really fast. And different ones have different revolutions, RPMs and all that. So what we're going to do is we're going to clean those contacts, and we're going to clean the brushes. So, and they'll all be a little bit different. The way we do it is just a little piece of sandpaper. And you're just trying to, basically those brushes degrade. They're I don't know what they're made out of, but it comes apart basically. So you end up with a bunch of dust between the brushes and these contacts that it needs to be on. These ones aren't really all that dirty. But you can see there was a little bit of dirt on it. And then we're going to take the brushes, and like I said, these can wear down, but these are still in good shape. They're just dirty. And we're going to take our sandpaper and just clean it up a little bit. Now you see how it's rounded so that it can hug that, so we're not trying to destroy that. We just want to get the dust off of it. It might be smarter to just clean it with Windex or something, but and then, you don't want to sand it flat or anything like that. We are just lightly trying to clean the gunk off of it. So you can't really tell how clean they are, but you're just cleaning them up a little bit. Then they will snap back on after. I'm just test fitting it right now, but they will be like that, And so you measure. Let's see if it's any better now. All right, so we've got 12 ohms or something like that. So, and that's with me just barely touching it. So that will get it clean. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to put it back together. And then once we get it solid again, we'll test the resistance and make sure everything's cool. And I usually just wipe out the inside of this just to make sure it's fine, and wipe off these just to make sure they're fine. There's nothing in it gunking it up. And then you slowly put it back together. So I'm going to do that real quick, and then we'll test it. Okay, folks, so we put it back together, and I also went ahead and did this one. This one I had already done. And so you can see now we have like 10 ohms resistance, or 8 ohms resistance if I get on it a little bit better. And on this one over here we have something similar, That's much more like it. And the sticker on the side says 24 volts, so that's what it's running on, but it's actually, if you measure it in the machine, it's higher because it's unregulated. It's like 34 or something like that. And it says 65, which I believe is the RPMs, and then it says 5-to-1 ratio. So they're talking about the gearbox. For every 5 times this turns, it turns that one time. No, I'm sorry, 65.5 to 1 ratio. So every 65.1 times this turns, it turns the gear one time. And the date on it is January 12th, 1987. This little cap here, I believe, is to start the motor. It needs a little extra jolt whenever it starts to get it moving. And so they all have a little cap on it. We broke this one, so I'm going to replace it. But we'll put it back together, and then we'll try it in the machine and see if that helped any of our motor problems. Okay, folks, so we have put it back in the machine. This is an old school tiger paw crane, right? So let me see if I can move it back where you can see it a little better. So we've got it back in the machine, wired back up. We're going to coin it up, and let's see if our motors work. You can probably tell that we've already tested it because the claw's up. That fixed our motors. And finally, the last one. This is one of the real early ones where you can move it after you drop it. Can you believe it? Whoa. All right, so I didn't win anything. But as you can see, that fixed our motors. So if you have an old crane machine and the motors are not working, check your fuses, check your voltages if you know how to do that, and just see if you're getting voltage to the motors. And then do like we showed, test them to see if they're burnt up, and test them to see if they're just not making good contact. So just so we're clear, what was going on was the motors had power going through them, but the power wasn't going through those little brushes. There was some resistance there because they were dirty at the end. So we cleaned that up. Now they're making good contact with the metal like they should, and the power's getting through and making the motor spin and work. So on these old ones, a lot of times you run into the problem where you can't get a replacement motor because it's so obsolete. This thing the motors have a date of 1987 on them. So if I search for that part number on the motor, I might find one, but it might be kind of hard to. But I didn't need to find one. They just needed to be clean. So I hope that helps you get your old crane machine working. Now, if you like videos like this, repair videos or videos showing these old school cranes or old school arcade games or old school pinball machines, subscribe to our channel here because we do this stuff all the time. We've got a video game store in downtown Rock Hill, South Carolina, which is about 15 miles south of Charlotte, North Carolina, chock full of arcade games, pinball machines, jukeboxes, and a few of these cranes. We don't get a ton of them in. And so we sell these to people for their home game rooms. You can check out all the games that we have available on our website at lionsarcade.com. Link is in the description below. Or you can stop by and see us. Like we said, we're in Rock Hill, South Carolina. But leave your comments below. Let us know what you think about this. If you have any questions about fixing your crane motors, we call them cranes. A lot of people call them claw machines. If you have any questions about it, hit us up, and if we've got time, we'll answer them to the best of our ability. We'll see you on the next video.